I found my high elsewhere. Compelling title, or at least I've thought. Must have been something in regards to that because, well, it compelled you to click on it. But before we get too far into the story, I believe I should tell you a little bit about the setting we're in here, to preface, because every great story has a great setting to accompany it. This here room is what we like to call the tea room. Now, the English do love a good cup of tea, hence why they build a tea room. But I never really enjoyed the tea room for that purpose. I found it more enjoyable to have a smoke in the tea room. A little bit of green, a little bit of pot, Mary Jane, marijuana, the devil's lettuce, whatever you may call it. And I can look back fondly on those times, smoking away here in the tea room. But I always knew that was never really me. When I was a young lad, let's say 7 to 12, I enjoyed playing soccer. I had a great team, a great crew of guys. But somewhere along the line, I believe when I got to the U13 club, or whenever the pitch upgraded then to the full size, the full meal deal, I said to myself, well, I wasn't up to standards. I wasn't capable, I didn't have the stamina to contend at that level on a full-size pitch. Which in hindsight is pretty foolish looking back on it, because at that time my lungs were pure as the angels in the sky. And it's funny too, now I've just recently gotten back onto a soccer team, and it's been a real pleasure. It's been an absolute blast. I wanted to play with them last year. I got an invite out from one of the patrons at my pub there, and the games just didn't really align with my schedule. I made it out to a couple of practices, but I was excited again by the prospect of playing on a team and being in that competitive environment with a group of guys to drive you forward, or to drive me forward rather. Because I think I crave that in my life. I crave something that, a driving force. Because I know I'm always much better when I got some camaraderie with me, some teamwork, some support. Now recently, I've had a friend of mine give me an old iPod Shuffle. And this came about because, well, I pretty much decided I've had enough of Spotify. I've been paying for the plan for a couple of years, and the rates continued to go up, and for me personally, it just didn't seem all that feasible anymore, and it just didn't seem all that reliable, in fact. The service was spotty, it would crash, and now perhaps that was my phone and an abundance or lack thereof storage, and just causing everything to slow down and the app to crash at random times. But like at home, I don't really listen to a lot of music on the computer, and when I want music on the go, like when I'm on a run, when I'm moving, I find it to be too cumbersome to bring a phone around. If it's in my pocket, it's jostling about, and it's annoying. It's more things, more clutter to worry about. It's pulling my pants down. If it's in my hand, I feel like I'm this genetic cyborg where I can't disconnect from the phone. And you know, you'll hear Goggins say, "Oh, what are you gonna do when the music goes down?" Or you'll hear the Kenyan runners, well, maybe none of them train with music. Because yeah, it is a distraction. You're distracting yourself from perhaps the pain of running. But it can be a positive distraction. Music in itself is a drug, and to discover good music, that's what I'm getting back to here. I'm being more deliberate with the music that I'm putting on. I'm excited now about putting albums onto this player, and the last time you've listened to an album, you tell me, right? We sort of tend to just listen to playlists and algorithms. When I was on Spotify, I was always just adding music into my liked songs and just listening to the top, 15, 20 most recent liked songs, and I would run through those until I had enough of them, and then move on to the next sort of batch. But a lot of this too coincided with me smoking. I would always enjoy a high tempo music, not music that really has a lot of character to it or a lot of soul behind it. Just music that is quick and upbeat. I've been off the green now for about 11 days, and since then I've sort of replaced it with running, and this has gone hand in hand now with my reading, or my rereading, of Haruki Murakami's What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. Now, I love Murakami. He's a very, very brilliant author and novelist, and his works of fiction invoke these vivid pictures in my head, and just the portraits that he's able to paint with his words are so beautiful. And this little gem that he's written here, really it's a simple recollections of his journal in the past, and it just takes you through his process of how he likes to write and how he got more serious about running, becoming an author to offset that typical author image of an unhealthy lifestyle. He says somewhere in the book he was smoking upwards of 60 cigarettes a day, and then he transitioned into running and realizing, well, that's not a sustainable pace if he's going to be a runner. He talks about how others will ask him, well, how do you go out and run for an hour? That seems to be treacherous. Well, and he says, well, as an author, as a novelist, I'm able to set my own hours and go at my own pace. So for me, that hour is much, much nicer than to be shot into a subway with the masses there and to work the typical 9 to 5. So that's sort of his escape. And he also mentions another little quote I like there. It says, keep in mind now this is 2005, 2006 that he's writing these journal entries, and he says something about music and computers are like friends or co-workers, and sex, he says, they should never be mixed. And just crazy to think about that in today's economy, because all of our music is tied into the computer. A lot of people are not listening to physical media that way anymore. We're not listening to CDs or vinyls, and yeah, sure, they're kind of making a resurgence in the general culture, but it's almost because it's this analog trend that's coming back. It's a trend, right? Things go in and out of style, like the tides flow in and out with the cycle of the moon there. But this has been a great book in inspiring me to get back out and running again, and as well as having this little shuffle here. It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure to use. I mean, just look at that. It so easily fits in the palm of my hand. It's such a simple device. The buttons tactile, the design sleek. It is such an efficient machine. It's got one input and output. It's the 3.4mm audio jack, and it charges via that jack as well, which is quite strange if you think about it. Most of our devices now they're moved to Type-C. Apple was with Lightning for a long time, and before that the micro USB was on every little device, right? But this here, it's just so simple. It doesn't weigh anything. It's so easy. I don't realize it's there when I'm running, and that's the beauty of it. I'm able to enjoy my run so much more because I don't have that phone weighing me down. And even if it isn't much weight, physical weight that's there, it's just the feeling that I can't detach from it. It's that constant, almost like anxiety leash where I feel like I'm tied to it and there's no separation. Just like that work life and that home life, all of us, it seems that we have our phone attached to us 24/7, and that's not healthy if we really put it into perspective. I remember when I was younger, I read a lot more, and at some point I got an iPod, maybe in early into middle school or whatever it was, and I remember telling my mom, like, hey, I'm still reading, I'm just reading on my phone, which really I was probably trying to trick myself and in turn trick her. But it's just not the same. Nowadays I appreciate the feedback of the paper. I like flipping through the pages. It's so much easier on the eyes too. The blue light that we always have blasted in our eyes, especially if you're trying to get yourself to sleep, it's just doing quite the opposite. So the devices like these are really bringing us back, or at least bringing me back, to a more intentional lifestyle. And for the past 12 days, or whatever it's been, I've been consistent with my runs, and I've been thoroughly enjoying them, listening to new music. Not new music, but new music to me, or music that haven't had the time to enjoy because I've been just caught up in these Spotify algorithms and these fast playlists. And as well, with me quitting weed, I'm not sure if I'll quit it for good, but at my point in my life now, as a young man, as a 23-year-old male, I feel like it's just foolish for me to continue on that path. When I started, I was in high school, and it was likely a pure peer pressure thing. Would I have gone and seeked it out or sought it out on my own? I don't believe so. But those were the kind of people I hung out with. But still, I made that distinction when I hung out with them. They would, I'd smoke on the lunch break with them or whatever, and they would just skip class and veg out at home and order fast food, just absolute shite, and just watch nothing videos on their phone, right? Whereas I would walk myself back to class and get myself an education there and try and use that altered state perhaps as a benefit to me, and to maybe extract something else out of my brain and to find something else in my work. But I know too it's never been good for my sleep. When I smoke at any time of the day, my sleep is always impaired, and I wake up just feeling a little bit sluggish and slow. Now if your sleep is the blade that you want to keep sharp and honed, and basically your go-to weapon, right? Because without your sleep, that's your foundation for mental, physical, any kind of success relies on a good sleep. Well, in weed would be like taking that blade and just dulling it against an old rock or an old stone or something like that over and over and over again. And I did it for many years, and I enjoyed it. It can have its benefits, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to demonize it, and it's helped many people, sure. But it's also become too common, and it's become this, especially where I live here in the Pacific Northwest, we're sort of known for our cannabis culture and our quality product. Well, it's very, very dangerous still for the youth, and that's usually where it starts for a lot of people. And they continue it on, and they will say, oh, well, I don't have a problem. But you ask them to quit, and they'll look at you like you're crazy or something along those lines. So it's been good for me to make that shift from smoking to running, because running will still provide you with a high, the runner's high. As you run, you're building up endorphins in the brain, and when you stop, you get so much more appreciation. The colors seem more vibrant. Even on a longer run, you can sort of see almost akin to like a bit of a mushroom, low dose of mushrooms, where you get some sort of waves and those sort of patterns almost. And it's a beautiful thing. And now with my running too, it's got me back into my soccer, because I want to be able to keep up with the best of them and to put the best version of myself out there. And I think that's where these things are sort of leading me to find and to continue to create the best version of myself. And certainly not without the hindrance of any of these substances that I had used for a long time. To find a different crowd and to put yourself into a more positive environment. I think that'll probably be the moral of the story there, is we get stuck in our patterns and our routines. And the thing with weed, it makes you comfortable with that. It makes you okay with that. And by running, a lot of guys say, oh, running sucks. That's a great video there by Neistat. You'll have to watch that one. Running sucks. Basically what he says, he runs up a hill and he runs back down it. When he's running up the hill, he's drilling into the idea aquifer deep in his mind. And as he goes down the hill, he's extracting those ideas from the aquifer. So running is really a great stimulus for the brain, and for people who think too that, oh, running is bad for you, it's hard on the knees. Well, maybe it is hard on the knees, but it'll make your knees stronger. And if you can't run, you best damn be getting on a bicycle or something. Exercise is one of the pillars of a healthy lifestyle, along with our diets, mental and physical, what we put into our body, how we nourish ourselves, and how we keep ourselves moving forward, and to set positive goals and to strive for something. And I believe that's why it's been so good for me as well to quit this substance, because now I'm once again striving to become a better version of myself. I'm enjoying seeing my legs become more toned and seeing the striations in my calves. I think that's a beautiful thing, just to see some progress there, and to want to fuel myself with quality food that'll see me through the end of the day, and to just be prepared. If anyone offers to me, oh, you want to go for a run? Damn right I want to go for a run, and I'll show you how it's done. And now don't get me wrong, I don't usually run to run quick. At the moment I've been more so concerned with building up my aerobic engine and trying to lower my heart rate overall, just to have a more efficient body, a more efficient system. But when the challenge comes a-knocking, you best believe I'll be there, and I'll be ready for anything. I intend to make more videos in the future here. I perhaps even thinking of a series called Tea Room Talks, where I just talk to you from the tea room here. And now if you have any sort of ideas or any feedback, I would be very grateful to hear that from you all. I think that's a very positive thing, and yeah, I've always enjoyed creating, and I think now I'm at a point where I feel more confident in myself and more excited and ready to create again and to put out a positive image into the world, and something that'll help people, because that is what brings me a lot of joy and satisfaction deep down. I want to help people to maybe see a different perspective or achieve their goals or whatever it may be, for them to, maybe for me to be the enlightenment that shows them that they can achieve their wildest desires, whatever that may be. And that only works if we have an open line of communication and we're truthful with each other. So I encourage you all in the comments to just drop me a bit of feedback. That would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, thank you for watching. Stay blessed and have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful, positive day. Thank you very much.